Good morning, everybody. This is my first time here at Tech Fest. I have to set my timer, otherwise I'm going to go over, and considering I'm starting 15 minutes late, we'll see how that goes. But thank you guys for allowing me to come in and talk a little bit about managing cloud and AI in healthcare. The first thing I want to do, though, is talk a little bit about, I'm not going to bore you with a bunch of slides. I just got to use this to make sure I stay on topic, otherwise I'll digress. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about me, a little bit about Baptist, where we are today with cloud and AI, how they weave in together. I'll set your expectations before we get into that so that they're not way too high. What's important in our strategy today, the plethora of challenges that we're dealing with in healthcare, and I could spend an hour just on that, and I'll leave a little time for QA. So here's the disclaimer. I am not the smartest guy in the room. So you guys, if you already have your questions that you want to start firing away, just remember, I've got a team of 130 people. They are the smart village that make sure that we stay on the straight and narrow. All I do is I navigate the ship. So we are not doing everything right. I promise today to be transparent and honest with you. We are not doing it all right. In fact, I've got a motto with the team. If we're going to fail, we fail fast. So we don't have everything down. In fact, you may even be a little caught off guard with how early we are in some of our adoption on things. So that's my disclaimer. No, there's not all of our projects will not be on here. I'll probably say it a couple times through this. We typically run anywhere between 200 and 250 active projects at any one time. So I'm just giving a quick little hit list of some of the things that you guys might find interesting. So a little bit about me before I get into some of Baptist. I just want to give a little bit of high level. So I've been in IT since '92. I got my start at UPS Airlines. If there's anybody here from UPS, I had a guy by the name of John Gray gave me an opportunity to work in field IS. I got to work in field network, LAN support, and get into cabling side of things. I spent about 10 years at UPS before I went on to GE Appliances Global. I spent about 3 years there. That was interesting. I was very excited to leave there and go to Yum Brands, which is KFC, Pizza Hut, and Taco Bell. They were an awesome company, gave me a lot of great opportunities to go overseas, did quite a bit of work there, spent a lot of time, again, the majority of my career in IT has been in infrastructure. But spent a great deal of time there before going to Trinity Video to help them shore up some infrastructure side. So Trinity Dynamics is here now. They used to be Trinity Video, but they're Trinity Dynamics. So I know they're a sponsor here. So if you guys see them back there, give them a hi. But I did a little bit of infrastructure shore up for them, as well as some work with the FBI. Then I left there and I went over to Baptist. I've been there for 13 or 14 years. My responsibilities at Baptist are everything from the desktop back to the servers, the data centers, the cloud, AI. Wow, that's loaded. Application virtualization, web infrastructure, integration, interfaces, data warehouse, database. I'm going to forget some stuff. Disaster recovery, business continuity, cyber recovery, the Active Directory suite, identity and access management, the Microsoft suite, enterprise architecture, and I'm leaving something else off, Epic technical infrastructure. So we're an Epic shop. So if anybody here is from healthcare and you're Epic, we got an Epic shop at Baptist. Yeah, so that's a little bit about me, a little bit about Baptist. I won't dig too far into this, but I put our mission, vision, and values on here. But a little bit about Baptist. We're a 10-hospital system, 8 owned hospitals. We have 2 joint ventures, one in Madisonville, which is in between us and Paducah on the Western Kentucky side, and another rehab hospital that's off Blankenbaker Parkway. So if you're local, you know where that is, over on the east end. Everything in the healthcare industry is measured in beds. So we're 2,300 beds. With the joint ventures, we're pushing about 2,900 beds. In total, we've got 24,000 employees. I always get that mixed up. One day I'll say 23,000, one day it's 25,000, but roughly about 24,000 employees. So we're a pretty decent sized shop. We've got 1,820 employed providers and another 2,000 independent physicians. By the numbers, no, I'm not going to go through this slide with you, but the thing to point out is we're just under a $5 billion revenue organization. Here's our service areas. So we cover the entire state of Kentucky practically, the southern tip of Indiana, and the southernmost corridor of Illinois. Okay, so I usually drop a hook in here, but today, since I thought we had some leaders in here, maybe some of you are, maybe some of you aren't, but one thing that's hit a lot of us recently is how do you combat complacency? And we'll talk a little bit more about this towards the end, but it's something I'm even dealing with myself. So the clue to how to combat complacency is you're here today. That's one of your first steps. But we'll hit a little bit more of that here in a minute. So I work with two other vice presidents, and all three of us report to the CIO. And they don't use team visions per se. I like to give a team vision to my team. And the reason I like to do that is because I like to make sure they know the direction we're headed and make sure we keep what's important, because technology is ever changing, right? Whether we're talking about cloud or AI, it can be a little frustrating with the amount of things that change. But I keep a vision for our team. Thought I would share that with you all today because I think it's pertinent, especially when we're talking about two pieces of buzzwords or two pieces of technology that we're working on today. So we advance healthcare through innovative solutions and highly skilled IT team to continuously improve the experience for both our clinicians and patients. We're committed to delivering efficient and cost-effective solutions with minimal disruption so that our clinicians can provide the best care possible. You get the theme, right? In the middle, the patient. Next to the patient is the clinician. Those are our two number ones right there. That's our number one customers in healthcare are those folks. You might look at this and go, well, if you work for Domino's, your number one customer is everybody that calls in ordering a pizza. For us, it's making sure we're enabling that clinician so that they can provide the best care possible. How do we do that? We challenge the norm. We bring everybody with us along on the journey. A little bit of that take is from one of the best CEOs I ever worked for, David Novak from Yum Brands. He wrote a book on taking people with you. So part of that is no matter what we're doing, no matter what pace we're going, if we're talking about bringing AI into the organization or we're talking about using cloud differently, you got to take people with you, because if you look up in the rearview mirror and there's nobody back there, you're a team of one and you're going to fail. So when we talk about the how, we have to pivot with technology, meaning the technology's changing extremely quickly. We're constantly pivoting. There's no more nestling down. There's no more, this is my little silo and I'm going to work in this little space because it's very comfortable. There's no more of that. We have to ensure our changes align with the culture and the strategies of the organization. If they don't, you can have the best idea in the world and it's going to fall flat. Figured that out at Yum Brands, had the greatest technology ever. I stuck it out there. Well, it didn't align with the strategy of the organization. Had to learn that lesson the hard way. That was a very difficult conversation with my boss at the time. We continually advance healthcare through all of those strategies. So we got to know where they want to go, and we got to make sure we're taking that vision and putting that to all of our IT strategies, and they all have to work together through all those 200 plus projects. And the last thing is we never lose sight of the patient. Always keep your focus on the patient. What are they experiencing? So a couple other thoughts I give to the team. We're a technology company that delivers healthcare. You can think about that no matter where you are. So the speaker that's up after me, the only thing I remember is bourbon. I'm hoping we're drinking bourbon on the next round, but you know, you can, no matter what company it is that you're working on, we're an IT company that delivers bourbon. We're an IT company that delivers healthcare. We're an IT company that delivers pizza. Always keep that in mind, because everything that we're doing, no matter what that project is that comes in, if it's a refrigeration system to keep something cool, it's going to have an IT component because it's got to be monitored. Somebody needs that data for some kind of analytics that requires another IT component, right? Of course, we're just going to put a little AI in there and we'll get all that back. But everything requires IT. Every application will have some form of AI in the next 12 to 24 months. Well, that's not right. It's now. It's now in 3 months. Everything's going to have AI. Eyes on the enterprise, 3 years is a lifetime in IT. If we were to go back 10 years ago, I could say, well, here's my vision for the next 3 to 5 year strategy. I can't do that now. I'm doing good to get 1 year out because there's so many changes that's coming at us. So the disruptive initiatives, they continue to happen. They continue to happen. Patients need more things from us. The clinicians need more things from us. That's driving a lot more disruption on our horizon. And our ability to pivot is the name of the game. Be more agile. I was trying to come up with a different word than agile because I overused that word, but you get the gist of it. So where are we with cloud today? This looks a lot like what you guys have today, right? You could take any one of these things. We're a Microsoft shop, so we use quite a bit of Azure today. That's what we use. That's our third data center. Our primary data centers in downtown Louisville. Our DR site is out in Westchester, Ohio. That's not a super top secret. I mean, it's Ohio, right? You try to stay out of the tornado alley, but that's where our DR site is. So we've primarily been using our launch point for the cloud because healthcare is way behind in technology. Our launch point to the cloud has been DR. Take our DR applications, shove them up in the cloud, and try to avoid buying things and shoving capital out into our DR site. Nice, easy thing. You rationalize the application. Does it make sense? Is the application built to go in the cloud? In healthcare, I can tell you right now, I got there 13 years ago, and 5 years ago, some healthcare products were still coming out with XP. What's wrong with these people? They give you this nice Lamborghini and you open the hood and it's got a Kia engine in it. And you're like, wait a minute, this can't be. But that's the way healthcare has run. Now, is it changing? Is the pendulum swinging? Yes, especially with AI coming into the picture. So the majority of our cloud journey has been DR. The other part has been SaaS. That's been driving us to, you can say you hate cloud all day long, but Microsoft's pushing you that way. You could be the last person on earth to say, you know what, I'm going to keep all my email on-prem. Well, okay, well, good luck with that. But it's going out to the cloud. Workday's out there. Salesforce, ServiceNow. Ooh, I was getting a little feedback there. ServiceNow's going out there. Back there. So ServiceNow is out there, which, by the way, we just started an implementation of that. We were a Sharewell ticketing shop. We're moving to ServiceNow. So I'm actually pretty excited about that to join the rest of you all in the big leagues of ServiceNow. So I just put a little drawing down here at the bottom. You could have Azure, AWS, and I'll just talk loud if that works for you guys.
I'll probably throw a mic on you then if you're not going to use that one.
Do what?
I need to record the
you need to,
for the video.
Can you still hear me through this?
I can as long as you're using that.
I'll just hold it up here. We'll just keep going. So Azure, AWS, and then Google, right? We could throw Google up here. Just keep in mind, it all depends on what you're trying to solve for in the cloud. We'll talk a bit about the challenges of the different clouds that we got to experience as we first started digging into Azure here in just a second. When you think about cloud, at least for us, was the why. Why are we going to cloud in the first place? In healthcare, we were going through, and I'm left-handed and I've got the microphone, but we had to continually keep adding to storage, right? So we had these big jumps, and I had to keep going back to our capital committee, asking for more dollars and saying, hey, look, I need to add more storage because, 6 petabytes isn't covering it anymore. Now we're approaching 9 petabytes. I'm going to need more storage. Now, the teams come up with different ways of solving for some of that by doing storage on demand, right? So we're subscribing to storage, but you still have other capital needs inside the data center. But when you think about cloud's given us that capability to expand without dealing with all of that extra lift in the data center. So that makes it very attractive. The otherwise that come with the cloud, and I will plug this, I have rethought the cloud. If you were to listen to any podcast that I was on a year ago, you would hear me say, yeah, we're a hybrid environment. We're going to be a hybrid environment for as long as I can recall, right? It's just because of the way some of the applications have been written in healthcare. So we're going to stay that way for a while, right? What's been changing has been the amount of pressures now that's coming into the colo availability of the data centers today. And now that's changing the pricing dynamics. It's changing everything, right? So the financial models are really taking a big hit. AI is coming in. Everybody wants that footprint. So if I was on let's just hypothetically say I was on a 10-year deal with my data center, and that deal comes up in 3 years, they're going to shoot the prices through the roof. So if you looked at cloud and you said cloud was so much more expensive, maybe it was at the time, but where is cloud now? Things are equaling out. So now you get back to the being elastic, being agile. Cloud's giving you more great options. So AI is pushing on the data center. It's pushing a bunch of changes out there. I talked a bit before about parking cars in the garage. I don't want to park anything else in Westchester. I don't want to do that, because if it just sits there and I'm not really using it except to exercise it, that's not a good use of funds. So rethinking the cost of cloud and how we can manage it better. It's all in how we're managing it. The way we've been managing it, get your Azure statement at the end of the month and go, did I have a water leak? Was there a toilet stuck? Did somebody leave the furnace on too hot? Something like that, and the bill's high, right? It can't be like that. It has to be actively managed. So what about AI? I gotta watch my time. Okay, good. I'm still good. Good. Okay, good deal. All right, so what about AI? Well, we started our AI oversight committee, right, to launch us into, oh crap, we've got all this AI stuff. We're going to need somebody that has some brain power around this. We need an AI strategy. Everybody needs an AI strategy, like I need a cloud strategy, right? It's a tool on the tool belt. Here comes AI. Everything's going to have AI. Let's talk about AI strategy. The first thing is governance. Better have governance. Well, we call it AI Oversight Committee. Same thing, it's governance. So we fired that up about 2 years ago. We established an AI strategy, and it was great. We had a lot of folks from IT, a lot of leaders from IT, a lot of people from the clinical side, and it was led by our Chief Medical Information Officer. Fantastic guy. Did a great job with it. The problem is, if you set the strategy and then you don't immediately respond to that strategy, what happens? It all changes 3 weeks from that time that it all changes. So it's great to have a strategy, but it has to keep getting revisited and revisited and revisited. In the meantime, here comes more applications with more AI. What are you doing? You're going to run it through the AI Oversight Committee? What are they going to say? Are there hallucinations? Does it actually change patient care? We have to be careful. Is this something in Illinois? Because in Illinois, I just learned this week, make it sound like I know what I'm talking about. But in Illinois, I just learned that you can't use AI with behavioral health patients. I didn't know that, but you can't. So will that change over time? Yes, but right now you can't use it with behavioral health patients. It's good to know because we've got some practices over there. So AI governance, you got to have it out there. We got it established. So you see the overlap with data governance. So you're saying, oh, well, you're probably well seasoned in data governance, right? Well, I just took data warehouse over 2 years ago. Not going to get into the details of how that happened, but I just took it over. Data governance just started. In fact, yesterday was our 3rd data governance meeting. Do you guys think we have it all figured out in data governance? We're still figuring out the roles, responsibilities, and the oh crap moment that, you know what, the data's really not in a really good spot. So we've got data governance well established, following all the typical protocols that need to be followed. That's great. That's awesome. But AI is trying to take off. Take off how? Well, let's put Copilot in. What could possibly go wrong with Copilot? Just administratively, we're not going to do it with the clinical side, but just put Copilot in there. It'll be fine. No, we're not going to do that. We did have a Copilot implementation, but we had to put very strict guardrails up. There are certain things you can and can't do with Copilot. In this case, we made sure there were certain SharePoint sites it could hit and not the unstructured data, because it's not ready for that. So the two governance overlaps. When I started data governance, I was like, we've got to have a member from AI oversight in data governance. So if you don't have that, make sure you do. Otherwise, there'll be too much arguing and bickering going on. IT governance. You may have a separate IT governance. You may have a separate corporate governance. For us, they're all blended together. Our IT governance is made up of the vice president's side of the house. So that's how we handle the IT governance side, along with the directors that's within the IT side of the organization. So it's a little bit different. You all can take a look at that and place your organization in that mess. But governance is a must-have. If you don't, it's going to run rampant. And you're not going to be able to stop things because everything's going to have AI in it. So it's not a matter of stopping things. It's a matter of knowing what's coming in your organization and being able to respond to it appropriately. So why AI? Well, you could take all these same things and look at that for cloud. Look at that for the next big thing that comes down, right? Cloud's one thing, AI is one thing. Before cloud and AI, it was converged. Well, you got to have converged. Well, what's converged? Converged storage, compute, it's all right there. And you throw in network and, well, what could go wrong in that? I mean, all those teams, they just get along so well together. They're all in their own little silos. They didn't work together. They just played that on TV. But very powerful solution. But everything that's popular comes along. So you could use all of these things on the whys and say, well, yeah, that could fit. So for us, you're looking for automation opportunities. You think automation? I mean, recently in Louisville, we had a situation with our tolling, right? Don't know if anybody's got toll situations. You ever have to make a phone call, be like, I got to call and get my toll stuff worked out? The customer gets very aggravated if they can't get through. If you've got a bot on the other side that's an effective bot, you can handle it online, or you could handle it when they call. Or you can throw staff at it. Which way is going to be cheaper? At the end of the day, the customer just wants their issue resolved. And I don't know about you all, but I hate talking to an auto attendant. It's like talking to Siri. When I talk to Siri, it doesn't work. And then I wind up saying curse words, and then, that doesn't work either. So at the end of the day, you just want your problem resolved. And I just want the shortest route to it. I don't want to have to wait longer than 2 minutes. And we can use that for bots. Scheduling, payments, authorizations, help with insurance. You can do all that with bots. Keep in mind, all your bots have to be managed. Somebody's got to manage it. You can't just stick stuff out there and hope for the best. It's like getting a new software package, right? Somebody from IT's got to own it. If you don't own it, updates don't happen. And before you know it, you're 3 revs behind. It's no longer supported. The application goes down. Now we can't do scans somewhere. Somebody looks at IT and says, hey, what the heck happened? Well, nobody was managing it. So everybody in IT has to own that application. Somebody's going to have to own that bot. So it's great to talk about it, but somebody's got to own it. It ensures we're looking at all the options that AI can provide us, right? But we're not expanding staff. It's not happening. I mean, I'm sure you guys are looking at the news. Medicare, Medicaid, it's taken a hit. If anybody looks at Becker's is a constant feed for healthcare. Just about every healthcare organization around is reducing staff. They're reducing staff because everybody's revenue is going in the toilet. So you got to do more with less, figure out how to be smart about things. That's where I'm seeing more opportunities with AI. Analytics and business intelligence, that's a huge, huge win for us. When we talked about Copilot a minute ago, we had a high demand from our analytics department. We had a high demand from finance. They were the two big pressure points with Copilot coming into our organization. So some of the things for AI that's in flight for us today, radiology's been around for quite some time, whether it's been looking at scans, seeing if there's some stroke protocols that need to be followed, and recommending different treatment courses. Radiology's been basically a leader in that for a lot of healthcare organizations. Ambient listening, we are, like I said, a Microsoft shop, so we use Microsoft DAX and Microsoft Dragon. So the difference between the two products, they're both ambient listening devices. And you guys may have seen it. So you go into your doctor says, hey, do you mind if I use my cell phone right here to listen to this conversation? Basically what that's given the clinician the ability to do is take good notes, keep their eyes on you, the patient, and get off the freaking screen. Because otherwise they're just sitting there hammering down on a screen and you feel like the doctor's checked out. They're more worried about the screen. They're not. They're listening. Really smart people. But they're over here trying to go through everything that's in this EMR. But now with this ambient listening, they can take notes and then they can go back and proof it later. They can proof it, do the adjustments and say, okay, yeah, I sign off on that, and it'll post it for them. So it's pretty slick stuff. The difference between DAX and Dragon is Dragon has a bit more clinical workflows that they can leverage in there. So that gives them that side of it, and it's also very multilingual sensitive. So let's just say you've got a real harsh accent, it plays better in that type of environment. Drafting messages in the medical record system. So if a patient actually sends something over, it can auto draft a message back to the patient without sending it. The clinician can then look and see, hey, do I want to go ahead and send that or wait? So once they proof the message, they can go ahead and send it, and it's a time saver for them. That's what it's all about. I talked about multilingual already, summarizing patient release notes, summarizing notes in general. So let's just say you've got a shift change. Shift change comes in, or a new doc comes in to take a look at a patient. Rather than a doc going through the entire chart, they can look at the highlights of it. You know, maybe they're just walking into a room. They can look at the highlights of that chart, and they can get the high-level view of what's going on with that patient without having to read every single thing. They may go back and read that later, but if they're trying to glean the high points, that's what that'll help them do. So another thing that we've just implemented too is everybody here's played with ChatGPT. So there's a form of ChatGPT that you can use to query our medical record system for reports. So you don't have to know how to build out the report. You can just use that, just plain language, send it over, and it'll generate the report for you. So that's helping my reporting teams from having to create a report for every single person that needs something. Now, it's not available for all modules yet, but they're continuing to advance that. And again, that's Epic. That's on the Epic side. But they're continuing to advance that. So the one plug that I would have to on the AI side, and I should have said this earlier and I didn't, so let me go back and clarify. We purchased the majority of our AI. We do not have AI engineers. We don't have that. We have people who are knowledgeable of AI, but they're not. We don't have people specifically hired as AI engineers. We don't have people developing LLMs. We don't have that. We're purchasing right now. That's where we're at. Right, wrong, or indifferent, but that's the space that we're in today. So that changes a little bit of that dynamic probably in your mind to go, well, who's supporting all this? Well, if the application if they have released something that has AI in it, they're supporting that, but we still have to have all the knowledge. We still have to have the subject matter experts on the application. So we still have to go up to a level, and we'll talk a little bit here in a minute about some of the different breakouts that we have created for AI, but we haven't staffed yet. So it's another step to that. Patient monitoring. I want to hit on this one because this is another really cool one. Sometimes whether I almost used a different example, but so let's just say you've had a concussion. You've fallen, you've had a concussion, you're in a hospital bed. And there's a risk of you for falling. And that concussion is making you kind of not think clearly, right? You're laying in the hospital bed and they've had enough issues of this that they're like, you know what, we're going to have to put a sitter on this patient. A couple of years ago, a sitter would be a 1-to-1. So they would have to go get an aide or even a nurse to come in and sit down just to make sure you don't get out of bed. Because if you get out of bed, you're going to fall down and cause even more harm to yourself. So sitters have been a version of virtual care that has allowed us to take advantage of cameras in a room, much like what you've seen in ICU rooms before. So cameras, microphones, speakers in a room, and there's been embedded AI in that camera. So now we can take a sitter, that sitter can watch it 6, 7, 8 patients remotely, and the AI in the camera is watching the patient, and if the patient deviates from the bed too far, like they go over the rails of the bed, it notifies the sitter. It starts highlighting the screen, lets them know that that patient's at risk of falling. That's pretty cool. It's not super complicated, but the AI is at the device itself. That feeds into virtual nursing too. So you can use all of the same solutions. You want to try to use the same solutions for virtual nursing as you do for remote sitting, as you would for EICU. So you could have a teleneurologist remotely pop in to look at a patient in ICU. They could use all the same equipment. So that's what we're trying to do so that we're not having multiple devices inside of a room. But now they're embedding AI inside those cameras. Rev cycle, automated denial handling. So let's just say there was a denial of payment. Well, it'll automatically regenerate a letter and prepare it for resubmitting so that that payment can get paid. Because a lot of times you have to go through a couple hits on those payments. Same thing with pre-approval, right? Prior authorizations. It can do the same thing with prior authorizations. So that's come in quite handy as well. So more AI components that have been very well refined. We talked a bit about Copilot already. The only other thing I'd say about Copilot was the AI Oversight Committee, when they heard that we redid our Microsoft EA and we added licenses to that, they knew that I was looking to push a pilot of Copilot. They got stuck on that. That was their number one hot item. The problem was we didn't have a team that was ready to launch that pilot, but yeah, we had to move a few things around to get that pilot out. So right now we're piloting about 500 users today. So probably by the end of the year, we'll have another 1,500 users in that mix. But so far the results have been really good. We're not using Copilot from an administrative function. We're not using that in the clinical space. We are using Copilot from an ambient listening side. Challenges, shifting from traditional governance to fully wrapping in AI governance. Again, that's keeping everybody very, very happy on the governance side. If you deviate from the governance, things will erode. It will erode. You'll start having little IT teams firing up because somebody wants a little AI something over here, little AI something over here, and before you know it, you're like, where'd that come from? I don't know. If we didn't do the Copilot pilot, people would have been going out doing their own thing with ChatGPT or something else. So if you remember nothing else about what we provide our customers, everybody in this room is extremely busy. But we have to respond to those customers or they're going to go find the solution themselves. You don't want to do that because now it's beyond your control. Can't have that in healthcare. You can't have that in your organization either. You could have data leakage. You could have all sorts of issues that, from a cyber perspective, that would create some serious issues for you. Upskilling the team. I can't afford to buy cloud engineers that are well seasoned. I can't afford to buy AI engineers. What there are, though, there's plenty of providers and partners out there that can help on the implementation side and upskill your teams, right? I'm sure the third-party providers are going to be more than happy to staff you forever and a day, but if you look at the providers that's out there, there's going to be folks that are there and committed to help you upskill your teams. Try to go that route because you can't always go out and buy exactly what you need. The money pockets are not going to be forever deep. Security, the cybersecurity front of this, I think I've hit on that enough. You've got plenty of things to be concerned about with AI and how that is creating a bunch of different security pockets. I'm teamed up pretty well with our CISO and his team, so anything that comes in, it's got to go through some pretty rigorous security checks. Does that mean we're ahead of the bad actors? No. I do everything possible to stay 2 steps behind. And anybody that's in front of them, I want to meet you because you're fooled. You can't stay completely in front of them. They're always going to be in front of us, and we're always reacting to something that somebody's doing. So AI has put a real complex environment out there for us to track after. Slow turn time. We're inundated with bot requests right now. So I just wanted to call that out. The 200 projects that are active right now, we've got another 150 in the hopper. That's going to be a slow turn time. We have to figure out how to work differently, be more agile, and increase our throughput without increasing staff. Piece of cake, right? We're figuring that out. Disaster recovery, business continuity, cyber recovery impacts. Every time we change something, every time SaaS comes into the picture, every time that happens, it alters business continuity, it alters disaster recovery and cyber recovery. Somebody has to have their finger on that all the time. That's going to generate another project. So if you don't have these as part of your project or included in your project plan, make sure you do that. I don't care if it's AI or if it's anything cloud. It all has to be included in that. Otherwise, you're going to get caught in that space too. Looking ahead, next flavor of data warehouse. So today, we should have been on data virtualization for our data warehouse today. That didn't happen. When I took data warehouse over, it was for a specific function of the organization to launch that. And that's been launched, but we changed course on what we're going to do next. The data virtualization isn't going to happen. So we're on premise today with the data warehouse. Next play is going to be a form of Fabric. So why Fabric? Just to give us more flexibility. We're going to be able to layer AI in a lot better. So we're working on what that kind of script is going to look like going forward. How are we going to make that move? Where does it make sense? Epic today, they're looking to move their primary repository for a lot of organizations into Fabric as well. So that's another flavor. Why? Because some reporting today is 24 hours old. Moving it to the cloud, you can pull in 1 hour old data. So there's a lot of cases where that's going to make a pretty big difference for us. Gain proactive control over cloud usage. We're not there yet. We're going to be there. We're not there yet. Meaning, I want to be able to pull up the dashboard. I want to see today where we are right now at current burn rate. We're not there. Close. I will use a saying from another very close friend from a Far East healthcare agency. He actually gave it to me. He said, run that cloud like a business. You run that cloud like a business. I wish I had came up with that, but you got to run it like a business. Otherwise, it's going to burn you down. We haven't got burned. We have a very tight grip on it, but I want it to be proactive, not reactive to the end of the month. So bringing more to the organization at a lower price, FinOps. Had somebody asked me that the other day. Hey, walk me through your FinOps program. I said, sure. Get a pencil. You ready? Here we go. Any questions? Need that. Got to have it. Okay, so we don't have it all figured out. Guess you guys figured that out today. We don't have it figured out. There's a lot of crap changing. It's changing every single day, right? So we're doing more with less. A new word that we're using a lot in our organization is anticipate the headwinds. Well, I feel like the headwinds are some of those video clips on Facebook where somebody's driving right into a hurricane, or that there's another ship that's driving through a tsunami. And I'm like, man, I feel like that sometimes. But it's healthcare. I absolutely love healthcare. My entire career, I've worked in a lot of different areas. Healthcare has been the most rewarding. I hope I can work in healthcare until I retire, but the headwinds are always going to be there just because there's so many issues in the space, but there's so many things to fix. That's what makes healthcare so great. Prioritize ROI. If you prioritize it, you can use that to fund other initiatives. So to say, well, I don't have any money, okay, that's great. Well, use some of these initiatives to then fund something else. Governance and oversight are non-negotiable. Enough said on that. And reimagine cloud management. Upskill the teams, use the right tools, and run it like a business. All right. So before I get to questions, I got to go back one. Complacency, right? So how do you combat complacency? And yeah, I stole this. Mentor, John Maxwell. He's a guy that I've followed since my GE days, but he's got a religious side of him too. So if you don't like that kind of side, then you probably won't like him. But his leadership abilities are superb. So his take on complacency is brainstorm shopping sessions. They lead to big ideas. That's what you guys are doing today. You're coming in. While there may not be any big ideas here that you're thriving after, it may spark something else. Be around those that are bigger, faster, stronger to inspire you to move down the road. Again, you're here today. There's people in this room that you can network with to help you with that. Every day is a new strategy. Avoid complacency in leadership growth. Stay passionate about the next level of growth. I'm never done growing. It's every day's a day for me to learn something new. Ask your directs, peers, and manager where they see your growth and stagnation. Feedback can pull you out of the rut. All right, questions? No questions. All right, great. Bourbon? Yeah.
The question is your implementation of Copilot. How widespread is in your organization in terms of physician using it? And have you seen any changes in the turnaround time?
So the changes in the turnaround times on Copilot. So are you talking more so about the physicians using Copilot DAX?
Yeah, Max or Dragon for that matter, because I think Dragon is becoming popular.
It is. Yeah. Yeah, so we're getting ready to switch to that, and we've got a very large pool of docs that are using it, but it's getting ready to go pretty wide on. It is, but the results have been great. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. I mean, even if you look at, so I'm not a doc, mind you, but if you look at like Copilot on the administrative side, when people would ask me, well, what are you doing with that? I mean, well, if I talk like, if you go on vacation for a week, this was in my elevator pitch for Copilot. Go on vacation, you come back, you got 1,000 emails. Copilot can condense it, give you the highlights, even start responding to some of them. Well, guess what, gang? I haven't updated to the latest Outlook client, so I can't take advantage of that right now. Why? I don't like the latest Outlook client. And I'm running that team. I don't like it. I just don't like it. So I have to sacrifice that part. So I can't speak from experience on that side, but the people that I have talked to, yeah, it's a great time saver. But I haven't experienced that side. So I can tell you that we have some docs that absolutely love it, and you'll have to peel it from their hands. But yeah, I think it's a huge success. Having it in the ambulatory side, great. We want to get it in the hospital too. So it's not in the hospital yet.
So, as you guys took on your AI or data governance journey, what were some of the aha moments? Could be both positive or areas of improvement.
The aha moments were behind. Who sits down anywhere and says, well, we got to do something with AI? And to sit in the room talking strategy, I kept my mouth shut. I just was like sitting there going, okay, we're behind. Tell me why you think we're behind. So there was a lot of aha moments where people were like, we gotta go. Where are you running to? That the strategy part is extremely important, no matter what we're doing. And that's an aha moment on the AI side. Just how behind are you? We're not, you hear everybody talk about, well, you're on the bleeding edge, you're on the cutting edge. Okay, we're in the middle somewhere. We're not able, with the staff that we have, to be right out there out front creating LLMs. We're not in that kind of state. But there are plenty of great opportunities with our medical record system to take advantage of a bunch of great things that they've done with AI. So is it buying it? Yes, but it's already there and it's integrated with our medical record system, and it can have immediate benefits to our clinicians and to our patients. So that's low-hanging fruit, and we would have to work on those workflows with the rest of the hospital, of course, but it's at least a direction. You're not going to have to sit there and green space it. But that was 2 years ago, and Epic, their user group meeting was this week. They announced they've got another 150 AI workflows in the process. So there's a lot of great stuff being developed right now. And whether you're developing it or you're looking to take advantage of things, there's more work than you can possibly do. And the aha moment is you can't do it all. And then if you talk about it and then you don't do anything, you got to revisit it all again. Otherwise, you're not giving everybody a fair shake. So if you're looking at 5 vendors, right? We looked at 5 vendors 6 months ago. You better go back and look again, because maybe the 4th vendor that was in your list, that they were number 4, they may be number 1 now. You got to give them all a fair shake. And I mean, not that I know there's vendors in the room, but I'm just saying you got to give them all a fair shake.
Quick follow-up question. What's the feedback loop, right? So as you're kind of going through your AI governance and finding out things, right? Talk a little bit about biases and knowledge. How is that feedback now getting surfaced back to you?
So feedback comes directly through our AI oversight. It'll come back. We meet monthly, and we review all feedback that comes through. So some of it's valuable, some of it isn't. But they have a feedback loop today that they can get right to the oversight committee on, or the council. Yeah. Hang on one second.
I'm just curious, how are you discovering new opportunities to integrate these technologies? Is it internal teams bringing suggestions? Is it third-party vendors selling you on ideas, looking at your competition?
I think it's all the above. if you don't network, you're not talking to people, and you've got to do the networking. You got to know, okay, well, what's cooking over here? What's cooking over here? I don't answer my phone. My phone rings all day long. I don't answer it because everybody's calling to give me something that's going to change my life forever. Today, right now. And I was like, okay. I mean, but I can't possibly talk to every single person, right? So there's a circle, and it's all across the country. So my peers I talk to on a regular basis all across the country. And that's what you find because we're inundated with things. And you talk to people, oh man, you got that going on, great. And yeah, there's a lot of things I'm watching that other people are doing. And it's like, and again, remember, just because it works for somebody else doesn't mean it's going to work for you, because why? Culture eats strategy for breakfast. It may not work for you. It may work for Emory. It may work for Stanford. It may work for Norton's. It may not work for Baptist. So you got to be sensitive to your environment. But yeah, great question.
So is Epic developing like their own AI application, or are they?
They have AI. They have different AI components that they will place out there, and it's within their AI suite.
So I didn't know if they took Copilot and white labeled it under Epic some way.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because just this week, Epic was talking about creating their own ambient listening. And if you listen to the words that Judy's the CEO, if you listen to the words she used, they're going to be partnered up with Microsoft. Powered by. Yeah, you don't hear that too much. But that's great. And I will plug somebody else because I said Microsoft, but a Bridge is another great one. So if you're in healthcare here, if you use a Bridge, it's another great product that's ambient listening also.
Can you point to any examples of use cases maybe you thought it was going to be a slam dunk and ROI just wasn't there? And on the other side, can you point to anything that you were really surprised at how effective AI was at the moment?
I think I've got a couple right now in clinical workflows that wouldn't mean anything to anybody. On the surface, it looked good, and it still may pan out. But I think you're gonna have that. You're gonna have that no matter what you do. But so that's where AI oversight comes in, and you look at it and you go, "Here's this suite of products. Which one are we going to go after?" Right? So even if you're leveraging suite pricing or anything else, because everybody's got that, right? Okay, that doesn't matter. That may open up the door, but you got to figure out which one you're going to run after first. Who am I going to go? Which piece of this is going to generate the best ROI, the impact the most from a patient experience, improve the patient satisfaction, improve the clinician satisfaction? What's going to give me my biggest bang for the buck? So I think that's 2 minutes. Thank you. Yeah, I think that's important. But off the top of my head, no, I don't have a good direct example other than there's a couple that I think are gonna fizzle.
Do you see that largely because of the impact on the clinical workflow and not wanting to mess with that, change that for maybe a small gain?
So I think whether you're talking about AI or you're talking about anything else, you've got organizational change that's massive in this. It's massive. So if you've got organizational change that's resistant, yeah, you could have that problem. I mean, we introduce smart devices for our nursing staff. We have some hospitals it's a hit, others that's like, I don't have time for that. So you want to try, again, culture. It may be a hit one place and not another, and you're sitting there going, man, what happened? I don't know what happened.